Number one, let's talk about this challenge that you proposed to me.
I would like to formally issue
Hey everybody, welcome to the Travis Busino Challenge, where you can win a $10,000 cash prize just by hitting a technique on me one single time.
So I'm supposed to stand there, right? You give me 100 strikes this way, 100 strikes this way, 100 strikes this way. And my job is to try to catch the 2-on-1. Never was that ever proposed. I mean, if you isolate a clip, you can probably assume that. That's cool, I guess. But I'm not going to stand there and play this carnival game. Actually, I will. I accept your challenge. Okay, I'm going to do this, but under these conditions. Number one, I believe in failure. I believe in failure in training, and I believe that identifying our points of failure and identifying where we need improvement in is actually critical to progress. We need to fail. So in that regard, I'm willing to fail and play your little game. But what's not okay is when you correlate these carnival games with realism.
If you don't show up, that's fine, I guess. We're all busy people, but you kind of have to ask yourself, should you really be telling people to risk their lives on these techniques if you won't even risk a little public embarrassment just for the sake of proving that your moves work, for the sake of making your style better, or for the sake of making that sweet, sweet $10,000?
That's not how it actually goes. And you know this. You know this isn't the way to test interception, bisecting line, 2-on-1, fight, strike, fight it through, see what happens. That's not the way you test it. That's the way you try to convince dumbass people who don't know any better, who are easily manipulated by marketing sensationalism. Of course, that's going to work. Clearly, the 2-on-1 doesn't work.
Because we tested it. We took some of these techniques and we tested them hundreds of times, and I got plastic knives shoved into my guts hundreds of times because the techniques are fucking garbage and they do not work.
Trav is right there with a static attacker. Trav is static, and he's literally trying to catch it. Those who know, those in the know that's a classic sucker's bet. That is a game. It's a reactionary gap game, right? You're always going to be behind the reactionary gap. We've seen iterations of this. Heck, I published one of them with Fred Master trying to slash someone's neck, and they're supposed to try to defend it. Well, he's got the jump. Action is going to be faster than reaction. The stacks are vastly against the defender to the point of near impossibility to prove an illogical point.
And they do not work. So why are they lying to us? And how did it even get this way?
I know these things because I've made these mistakes in the past before, Trav, but you're capitalizing on it right now. And you're doubling down because I questioned you. I questioned you because a lot of people questioned you. A lot of people knew what the heck you were trying to do. And you attack me back because I'm the easiest target, right? For sure. No, but you're acting no different than every jaded and insecure martial artist out there who once questioned, you go on the attack. Heck, you even do the classic thing. You issued a challenge. Come to my dojo. I will pay you $10,000 if you can catch. But it's freaking silly. It's ridiculous. Your testing is layered with cognitive biases. It's easy to tell for those who know. But again, brilliant job.
So why are they lying to us?
Let's look at something else, right? You mock this dude who uses a kick to soften the target to gain some momentary control, to be able to disengage. Those are, I mean, maybe the technique, the way it's presented, the techniques it could be a little bit silly also, right? No doubt. Because the world of knife defense is packed with the dumbest techniques. I get that. But if we look at that principally, again, which we're going to do a lot in this video, you're not going to like it because you're going to get exposed, brother. What you're doing there is you're softening the target, right? Because you're not supposed to chase a disarm. Everybody in the know knows this. You don't chase disarms. The best disarm is a punch to the face or just adhering to sound principles, and then you may be lucky enough to get an incidental, if not an accidental disarm. So I agree with you. There's a lot of bullshit techniques out there, but let's examine the principles. Why are we going to examine the principles instead of techniques? Because knife defense has infinite variables that we cannot repeat. Okay, one more time. Knife defense, or in fact, any street fight, is littered with infinite variables that if you begin to account for each and every one, you're going to spend a lifetime and not learn anything.
The world of knife defense is packed with the dumbest techniques in all of martial arts.
But if you approach it from a principle-based learning approach, you have 1,000 techniques, just like that. So let's look at one of the things that you did. The exact same thing, right? You used striking to win a moment in time to keep fighting to do something else. That is a principle, creating distance through striking. That's one principle, right? But you mock other people's interpretations of it as if you're a god, as if you have some grand wisdom that no one else has access to. Famously, you make fun of this Filipino martial arts technique that, you know, and you did that.
This is so stupid.
Of course you couldn't get it out. Of course. Why? Because you stacked the test against the thing you want to lose, which is very, very dishonest. Now, let's look at this principally and let's point out your bullshit. Okay. So yes, maybe the way it's presented doesn't work, but look what you did on the ground. You did the exact same principle, right? You created pressure here so that the grip loosens. Jiu-jitsu. Yes, that was jiu-jitsu. Brazilian, Japanese, German, right? We can look at the infinite ways in which this principle manifests, and we can single one out and say that's bullshit.
The world of knife defense is packed with the dumbest techniques in all of martial arts.
But if you look at the principle, you're doing the exact same thing. You are absolutely ridiculous. You're being dishonest, and this is not cool. But Trav, man, I know you're a family man. I'm a family man. And I want to believe that at the end of the day, this is beyond marketing. That you actually want to help people, right? And look, if your dishonest marketing ploy eventually leads people to being safer, I'm going to have to think about whether that's okay or not. You know, I was tricked as a kid to eat my vegetables. I didn't like being lied to, but I knew it was good for me. So I'll give you that, right? Because when I observe your stuff, I'm like, yes, I do this stuff. Punch to the face and then fight it out. You know, but you do silly things like, you know, look, in an instance of your video, I noticed you and your partner were both wearing gis, for God's sake, right? And you had a lapel grip. What's a lapel grip principally? Well, we can say that's wrist control, right? But again, your arguments are littered with ridiculousness. Your challenge is silly, and you're being dishonest to the people. But I accept your challenge. I accept your challenge because I'm an idiot. Because I actually think that despite the rules that are stacked against me, bro, for the same reason I love carnival games, I'll take you up on it. Let's try it out, you know? But here's what I'm going to ask, right? That you don't equate my failure with a sound and proven concept as if my failure is going to be their failures. That's not fair. And again, I've already proven that your tests were bullshit, right? This challenge, this test is bullshit. But I'm an editor. I'm a content creator, bro. I sit on my desk. I'm a keyboard warrior. Let's call me that. And the reason I study these things is because I approach it from a beginner's perspective, not a dumbass's perspective. I think to a degree, that's who you're kind of marketing it to, right? Like people who have fears and don't know. Luckily, if your stuff's good, you're going to get good testimonials from military guys and law enforcement guys and some well-credible dudes. I just don't believe in the way that you're marketing it. Okay. And again, I have to think about this. Is it okay? Is it okay for a marketer to lie in his presentation in order for him or her to present you good stuff? I think you have good stuff. I think you have good stuff. And fair enough, the best way for people to notice your good stuff is to trash other people. but we can do better. Look, and even in your video, you get upset at me for titling my video to match the momentum of your video.
Specifically to target anybody who might be searching for the first sentence of my video in a Google search bar. The world of knife defense is packed with
the dumbest techniques in all of martial arts.
How dare you?
How ironic. YouTube tells us to do that. YouTube tells us to do that. You do that. You constantly do that. You just did it back to me again. So don't do that. You know, don't do that. That's not cool, man. Calling me out for that. I've written clickbaity stuff just like you have. I've put up thumbnails to engage or to elicit viewership. You can call me out on that? For real? Come on. That's ridiculous. But back to your stupid challenge. Yes, I accept. But I want people to know exactly what this is, right? These are two YouTubers. I'm a YouTuber. You're a YouTuber. And we're doing it for marketing purposes, to collaborate, to hopefully deliver the people some good shit. Okay, we're going to play a little game, but we have to be honest with the game. That's all I'm asking you to do. Be honest. Stop trashing other people to get views for your product, because there are ways to sell your product fairly, nicely. I don't know what you want to call it. And how do I know this? Trav, how do I know this? Because I took the same course as you did, bro. I learned the marketing principles. But what I did that I don't feel you did, okay, was to modify these marketing principles so that we're not selling soap. We're not selling a new glue or a new, men's care product, right? You got to modify it just a little bit so that you're not sensationalizing, you're not fear-mongering, and you're not being dishonest. Because if your product is good and you believe that your product is good, it'll stand on its own merit. Okay? So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Pay for my flight to go down there once this Corona crap is over. Give me some time to train it, because this is a game. And I honestly don't train enough to go against, like, what are you, like 6'5"? You're a freaking monster, bro. You're huge. I'm this little Filipino guy, right? I'm going to play this game that's rigged against me. So number one, let's be real with what this challenge is. It's not going to prove or disprove the validity of the 2-on-1. Are you crazy? You know how many people are watching this right now and going, does he really think the 2-on-1 isn't a valid knife defense option as part of the totality of training, to include striking, to include grappling, right? All of these things matter and they count. And to a large degree, let me defend traditional martial artists just for a second. I'm going to do it with a little bit of hesitation, because there are a lot of martial artists out there who are dishonest also, who fearmonger as well, and who do present these easy fix solutions that frankly don't exist. Look, I believe what you believe, right? Knife defense is simple, but it's not easy. Therein lies the distinction. Simple, just a few things, work it out a whole bunch of times. But to actually be proficient, and so that we can rely on these tactics with some level of confidence through training and testing, some martial artists are dishonest with that, and I get it. But let me defend them, okay? Because knife defense or self-defense presents in the streets, not in the dojo, but in the streets. We all love the streets. Because there are variables that happen out there that cannot be reliably quantified and repeated, then there are an infinite solutions to an infinite number of problems. Now, I don't want to get postmodern about this, right? Not everything works. We still can narrow it down. But if we look at the principles that these traditional martial artists are trying to deliver to their students, we're talking about Kali, right? Arnis Eskrima, Silat, Kung Fu, Karate, Taekwondo, heck, I'm even taking Aikido with me, right? All of these traditional martial arts are simply relative preferences designed for long study that is enriched by culture, art, history, right? A little bit of fun, a little bit of fitness. It isn't as direct, but in a closer examination of these bullshit arts and techniques, when you look at it from the lens of a principle-based learner, even if you are a hardened veteran, even if you are a beat cop in like the worst part of town, if you had an ounce of open-mindedness and intelligence, you can even look at something like, good God, Aikido or Tai Chi and go, I see the principles behind it. I wouldn't train it that way, but I see that the principles, the universal principles are still there. And so maybe I'm not going to be such a douchebag and diss them, because 2 years of research with your buddies ain't shit.